Hi everyone, Charlene Ortiz here. I just wanted to do a quick video to kind of talk about some drama that happened in my household this weekend. I'm filming this in my closet right now because it's literally the only place that I can go. My husband is asleep in the bedroom, and obviously I have roommates, and so I'm going to be talking shit right now. I don't want them to hear, and also they're asleep too, so I also don't want to wake them up. And I'm actually holding my camera on a selfie stick, so I apologize if I'm unstable or moving it a lot. I'm going to do my best to try to keep it stable. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about something that happened this weekend and get you guys' thoughts and insight as well. I know I don't talk about my personal life that much, but because this has to do with a roommate and not a family member or my marriage. I don't feel like it's, like if it was about my family member or my marriage, they would be upset if I did a video, talking about stuff like that. And plus, I don't think that's appropriate, to be honest with you. But in this case, I could care less if my roommate gets mad. And again, it's just a different type of issue. Well, anyway, we had actually another roommate move in not too long ago. The one that I was telling you about in my last video, that she just got a puppy, and then we have a roommate that lives upstairs, and he also has a dog too, and he's the one with the 8-year-old daughter. And the one that recently moved in, she needed a place because she had 2 dogs, and initially we were just going to keep it just us and the other roommate, but she really needed a place with these dogs. And also, it would have reduced the rent for everybody else. And it's a big house, and plus my husband and I have the master bedroom and our own bathroom. We have a huge space in here, so we were completely fine with it. And plus, she's never home. Well, anyway, so my roommate has 3 dogs, and as I just said, she's never home. And so obviously, since she's been here, we've built a relationship with her dogs, and since she's never home, her dogs spend a lot of time with us. They're always in our bedroom. Actually, they're always there. And the other roommate that lives upstairs, he had the one with the 8-year-old daughter. He is an alcoholic, and we have been really unhappy with him living here for a long time. Very uncomfortable with his alcoholism. Also, when his daughter comes over on the weekends, he has joint custody with her. He gets drunk. He spends the whole weekend drunk and high while she's here. And they basically just stay locked up in his room the whole weekend, which I think is weird and really creepy. I'll get to that later. But anyway, so my roommate was gone the other night. She was out, and all the dogs, were out, and Sage, and the puppy's name is Sage. Sage and my dog Joey were playing, because they play constantly. Anyway, so I was in our room doing our taxes, and I heard my roommate's daughter say something, but I couldn't understand exactly what she had said. And then I heard him make a statement saying, not your dog, not your problem. Like basically saying that, whatever they're doing, like, don't worry about it because it's not your dog. Like, you don't have to do anything about it. And I thought maybe Sage had peed on the floor, and that's what he meant. That, if it's that she's not your dog, so you don't have to clean up after her. Like, that's what I thought he meant. But he said it in a really bitchy way, like with an attitude, like, not your dog, not your problem, Anyway, so then I heard her say, but they're playing with the pillow. And when I heard that, I immediately got up and saw that her and Joey had basically torn apart one of my pillows. On what I have throw pillows on the couch in the living room that I put there, and she had already destroyed another pillow a few weeks ago. And Joey knows not to tear apart the pillows, But if Sage grabs one of the pillows and starts playing with it, he's, gonna jump in and start playing with her too. So anyway, as soon as I heard that, I got up, went into the living room, and I yelled at them, and I said, hey, put it down, whatever. And Sage, whenever she gets yelled at, she always cowers. And we think that she probably has experienced some type of extreme abuse in her past, because she cowers in a way that's not normal. So anyway, she cowered and she ran outside. So I chased her outside, and she ran back inside, and then I, chased her into my roommate's bedroom, into her kennel. And I locked her in there, yelled at her, said no. And we left her in there for a little bit, and we let her out again later. But anyway, she was basically, I guess, on timeout. Well, when it happened, my roommate acted really weird. And like, when there's that uncomfortable silence, like when someone's just gotten into a fight, like if you're with your friends and they're a couple, and they get into an argument, and then there's kind of like that uncomfortable silence because something like traumatic just happened or whatever. But he just acted weird. He was just acting weird, and like something really traumatic had just happened. And he says, and then he told his daughter, he said, Ursula, come on, let's go. And at first she didn't go. She just kind of stood there and, was watching what was going on. And then he was like, come on, let's go. And then, they went upstairs. Well, I knew, because of the way he responded, that I needed to talk to Destry about what had happened. And, first of all, I wanted to talk to her just to vent, because of the way he responded when they were tearing apart the pillow, that he could have cared less that they were tearing something apart that belonged to the house, that belonged, to one of your other roommates. Like if I saw them tearing apart one of his shirts or something, I wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, not my dog, not my problem. Like I would have grabbed it from them, and, but anyway, so he had a very strange response. And I know that lately he, not lately, but I know that he doesn't like me, because he doesn't like being told what to do. And there'll be times when he'll put garbage on the kitchen counter because the garbage is full, and he's too lazy to take the garbage out when it's full. So he'll put garbage on the kitchen counter. And I've asked him before not to do that, because number one, it's disgusting. And number two, we don't want to get roaches, and we don't want to get mice, especially we get a lot of mice out here. And I know in the past he doesn't like that I've asked him not to do that. And I've always asked in a really nice, really respectful way. And also, like, I know that he got upset with me because we were talking about cleaning my roommate's carpet needed to be cleaned. Because the puppy, was peeing on it. And anyway, we were talking about her cleaning the carpet. And he was saying something. I was saying something about how my landlord is the one that needs to talk to her about it, whatever. And then I said, I don't want to be the one, to talk to her about it, because it's not my property. It's not, it's not my job to do that. And he said, yeah, well, I would talk to her, but yeah, I think she's really uncomfortable around me. I think, when I talk to her, she always acts kind of weird. And I kind of laughed, and I said, well, it's probably because you drink so much. And I didn't really even mean for that to fly out of my mouth, but it just kind of did, I guess, because it was just on my subconscious. But anyway, so I think that comment really made him angry, although he won't show it. He won't show that he's angry, because he's too much of a little bitch to show how he really feels about something. So anyway, so the next day, she was again out for the day, and the dogs were with us all day long, including Sage, the puppy. And I knew I needed to talk to her about what had happened. And so I didn't talk to her that night, because she had come home kind of late, and she always gets up early. And I didn't want to bother her. Yeah, I just didn't want to bother her with it, because I could just tell she was tired and, whatever. So yesterday I decided, I need to talk to her about what happened and how in his reaction, because I knew that he had done something. Something it told me that he had done. I'm sorry, I had to cut the video because my dog opened the door and I needed to get up and shut it so my husband doesn't wake up. I forget where I was at. Okay, I think I was saying that I knew that he had said something and I didn't want to bother her about it like that night, because she had come home late. She was tired. I just didn't want to bother her with it. So anyway, the next day I decided, I definitely need to talk to her about it because something had told me, something was telling me, that he's done something, like he's done something. So I went into her room and I was like, hey, I wanted to see if I could talk to you about something that happened the other day. And she immediately said, is this about Dennis? And I said, yeah. She said, I know exactly what you're about to say. She said, the other day, he came up to me and he told me that you guys were abusing my dogs. He said that I had gotten mad at Sage the other day, that for destroying the pillow, that I grabbed her, started, beating her and hitting her and threw her in the kennel. And the next time something like that happens, he's going to call animal control. I mean, he told her all kinds of bullshit. And he said, he told her, if I were you, I would go talk to Bill about it. I'm going to go talk to Bill about it. I don't trust them with my dog in the house either, because he came home one day from work and his dog was in the backyard and didn't come out to go say hi to him, or come inside from outside. The dog didn't come inside to say hi to him. And his dog is an old dog. He's like 16 years old. So a lot of times at that age, dogs start to lose their hearing, and he probably didn't even hear him. And plus he's a dog. Like, dogs like to be outside. They like to be outside in the backyard. So because his dog was in the backyard, he suspected that maybe we were abusing him or just some, ridiculous bullshit. And he told her, I think you need to go talk to Bill. I'm going to go talk to Bill too, because she needs to go. She needs to go. And Destry said that when he was talking to her, she was very frustrated and she was very confused, because she knew that her dogs loved to be in my room. They love to be with us, because when we're home, our door is always open. So that way my dog and my cats can go outside and play and whatever. And her dogs always come into our room, always. And we have the floor is covered with dog beds because there's so many dogs there. But so they come into our room all the time. The little dog, the little Chihuahua, loves to cuddle up with my husband. And Nadia just loves to come in there and hang out with us. And every morning, whenever she leaves for work, the dogs will literally go outside of our door and start barking to come inside. And it usually wakes me up, and I open the door and they'll come into the room and they'll go to their beds and go back to sleep. And she said that she was very frustrated and confused, because she was like, well, I don't know, like, if they're abusing my dogs, like, why do my dogs always go to them? Why do my dogs always go to their room? Why are they always in there? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And she felt like, like, did I miss something? Did I miss an obvious sign? Like, am I stupid? Like, are they being abused? And I just totally missed something, because, from what I can see, my dogs love to be with them. And she said that she did go ahead and talk to my landlord about what Dennis had said. And as soon as she brought it up, the first thing my landlord said was, Dennis drinks a lot. And when he drinks, he likes to talk shit. He likes to gossip a lot. And so the conversation ended up becoming about his alcoholism, and particularly the fact that he is always drunk and high when his daughter is here, and he'll spend the whole weekend. Sorry guys, I know I'm moving a lot, but he'll basically spend the whole weekend drunk and high when his daughter is here. And he started asking my roommate, like, how often do you see him drinking? How much does he drink? And she told him, well, during the week, I'm usually not there, but on the weekend is when I see him the most, and that's when I see him, doing most of the drinking. It's when his daughter is there, is when I see him drunk and high. So the conversation ended up becoming about his alcoholism. And my landlord said that he was going to talk to him about his drinking, that he needs to stop drinking so much. He needs to stop getting drunk, because my landlord has witnessed himself, my roommate, being outside with his daughter, talking to my landlord, slurring his speech. A lot of times he'll say things, and then when my landlord brings it up, another day, he'll totally forget that he said it because he was so fucking drunk. And so it ended up becoming about his alcoholism. And she told me that, she was really angry about that he had done that. And another thing too, that he had told my roommate, because she is a sponsor for a lot of people, for AA. And he told her that I said, because she goes to AA, that I was concerned that she would steal my medication. When I found out that he had said that to her, I wanted to go to his room and rip his face off and tear him apart. I could not believe that he would tell her such a disgusting, bold-faced, outright lie. And, when she told me that, I guess I was just furious. And we ended up having a really great conversation, because I did call my landlord and I did talk to him about what happened. And to be honest with you, it was kind of a frustrating conversation with my landlord, because I felt like, because my landlord basically was like, well, I already talked to him about it, so it's over. And I was like, well, no, not really, because he's an alcoholic. Like, he's going to start drinking again. Not only that, he keeps a loaded gun in his room. And I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe with a roommate that has a loaded gun, that is an alcoholic and emotionally unstable, because he is very depressed. He's very miserable. He recently got divorced, and his wife left him for another woman, which I think is hilarious, because of just how weak and pathetic he is, that his wife actually left him for another woman. But I think she was probably gay. I mean, she must have been gay the whole time, but she was just suppressing it, and finally just decided, well, number one, this guy that I'm with is a piece of shit, and number two, I'm not attracted to him, because I'm just not attracted to men. And she probably just, even if she wasn't gay, I could see why she wouldn't be attracted to him, because he's just weak. He's a very weak, just weak. Everything about him is weak. And so he has a lot of bitterness about his ex-wife and the divorce. He bashes her all the time in front of his daughter. And, everybody knows that when you're going through a divorce or a separation or anything, to that nature in a marriage, you never, ever speak negatively about your partner in front of your children, because you're putting your children in the middle, which is not fair. When my mom and dad got a divorce, my dad cheated on her. My dad had done horrible things, and she never spoke a negative comment about him. Not until we got into our mid-20s was when she started telling us everything that really happened in our marriage, when we were adults and when we could handle it. But when we were children, she never did it. And he's just, like I say, he has no emotional self-control. He's miserable, he's angry, he's bitter, and his bitter just spews out in every other aspect of his life. He hates the fact that my roommate is a lesbian, because obviously his wife left him for another woman. He hates the fact that I'm a very strong-willed woman, because that's how his wife is. And I think with me and my other roommate, everything about us reminds us of everything he hates about women. He hates women that are gay. He hates women that are strong-willed and that are strong. He hates my husband, because my husband is a strong, masculine, very authoritative man that has a very strong presence. And he hates the fact that I respect my husband, and that we have a good marriage, and that he's alone. It's like, just, you know, everything. Like he's surrounded by people that have everything that he wishes he had in his life. And because of that, he wants everybody around him to be miserable. And what's really sad is how much he isolates his daughter when she's here. You know, how they stay, he basically keeps her locked up in his room the whole time that she's here. Sometimes they will go somewhere, but for the most part they're in that room. And there are times like when he'll come out of his room, like to go to the bathroom or to the kitchen or whatever, and she'll come out of the room, but she'll just come out, you know, by the doorway and just stand by the banister, because you can see down into the kitchen from the banister, and if we're in there cooking or doing whatever, she'll start talking to us and whatever. And you can tell that she doesn't feel the freedom to come downstairs. And I remember one time she had come out of the room, that she had come downstairs out of the room when he came to go to the bathroom or whatever. And when he came out of the bathroom and saw her, she kind of jumped and she made an excuse for why she was down there. She was like, oh, I came down here because I just wanted to get a drink. Like she had to explain herself why she left the room and came downstairs. And it's weird, it's creepy, and it makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Because, you know, when she first started coming over, I love children. I absolutely adore children. And me and her got along great. And we started, you know, building a friendship and, you know, like a little bit of a relationship, you know, little by little, we were getting a little bit closer. And when he saw that happening, he just started completely isolating her. He didn't, you know, like he in the beginning, he was letting her out of the room a little bit more often. But as we started to build something of a relationship, he started keeping her locked in the room. And I just think it's weird and it's creepy. I'm not accusing him of anything because, you know, I have no evidence. I have no proof. And, you know, like I can't be accusing people of you know, serious things when I don't have evidence. But, you know, when you have a feeling about something, like you see a lot of red flags, and as you start adding things up, you know, a certain reality starts to become obvious. And that's how I feel. I feel that way. My other roommate feels that way. And because she mentioned it before I did, when we were talking about what had happened last night, she mentioned it before I did. She, you know, she said first, you know, I think it's really weird and creepy that he keeps her locked up in that room the whole time that she's here. And this is an 8-year-old little girl. And they are on a beautiful, gorgeous 4-acre property that they could be going out and hiking and having fun. And because you guys saw how beautiful it is, you know, like when my last video, when I took you hiking with me, you saw how beautiful it is, you know, a perfect place, you know, to go have fun and go hiking with a little girl. And to keep her locked up in the bedroom the whole time that she's here for that weekend is something is really sick and really twisted about that. Well, anyway, unfortunately for him, his plan totally backfired, because his plan was to get her upset and all riled up, you know, about us abusing her dogs, and for both of them to go to Bill and complain about us, saying that we were abusing their animals, and get us kicked out. And it backfired. Instead, it became about my landlord basically confronting him about his alcoholism, and telling him it needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And my roommate and I are even closer than we were before. And I know that he absolutely hates that. And I know that probably infuriates him. And, you know, the thing is that whenever, you know, somebody is miserable, they want everybody around them to be just as miserable. And when they see that the people around them are living a reality that they wish they had, they get angry about it. And it isn't anything personal. It's not, it's his addiction. It's his alcoholism. It's his own bitterness. The fact that he's so alone. And another thing too, when I called my landlord to talk to him about it, I mentioned that he has a loaded gun. And I'm someone that's, very much believes in Americans' right to own a gun, but not when you're an alcoholic and you're emotionally unstable. And I did get frustrated with my landlord because I felt like he just didn't take this as seriously as he needs to. I told him, because my landlord, told me, well, when Destry told me what was going on, I talked to him, so, you don't need to worry about it anymore. I talked to him and it's going to stop. And I was like, no, that's not really how it works. He's an alcoholic. Now he's just going to try and hide it. Like that's how addiction works. That's how alcoholism works. And my landlord kept saying, well, I feel like you didn't hear what I just said. I just said it's handled. I'm like, I feel like you're not hearing what I'm saying. Like he's an addict. It's, like there's going to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not problems, but instances or whatever. There's going to be more situations that are going to come up. And one thing my landlord kept saying to me, which was really frustrating me, was that he was saying, I just need to hear from you that everything is going to be okay from now on. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, how can I possibly promise that to you? And I told him, look, from our end, as far as me and Saul are concerned, yes, I'm not going to lie. We want to beat the shit out of him and tear him apart. But we're not going to. We're just going to ignore him. Like if he comes into the kitchen when we're there, we don't have to speak. We don't have to say anything. I'm perfectly fine living like that. I don't need to have any type of friendship or conversation with him. But, I told him, so as far as we're concerned, you don't have to worry about us initiating any type of fight. But as far as promising you that everything in this house is going to be okay from now on, I can't promise you that because he's an alcoholic. Like, I can't promise you that. If he starts causing problems again, I'm going to talk to you about it, But my landlord's the type of person that he wants to just collect rent and doesn't want to deal with anything else, not realizing that that's not reality when you own a property, especially when you're renting a house, where several people live in that house. There's going to, it's very likely that there's going to be issues among the people that live there. It's just the nature of a group of human beings living together, But unfortunately, it's not reality for my landlord. He's going to have to deal with this, whether he likes it or not. So for now, I think my roommate is very humbled. I don't think he's going to, start any problems because, again, this severely backfired on him big time. And the reality, I think one thing that I'm learning from this is that when you know that you're in the right, or that you're innocent, like you haven't done anything wrong, and someone is trying to throw you under the bus, or someone is trying to cause some type of someone's trying to hurt you in some way or what have you, ultimately it will always work out in your favor if you're innocent, if you know that you haven't done anything wrong and you are in the right. It will work out in your favor. I want him to leave. I want him to be gone by the summer. And whenever there has been like conflict, like serious conflict in my life, and I've been in a situation where something needed to drastically change for my well-being and for my benefit, and I knew that I hadn't done anything wrong, it always did work out for my benefit. I always ended up getting what I wanted. And it wasn't something that I really had to do or push for. It just, like, things will just kind of fall into place, and just like, it'll just naturally fall into place in a way that things will just work out the way that I wanted it to work out. Because I needed it to work out for my emotional, spiritual, physical, mental well-being. And my roommate, my other roommate, she's a very spiritual person. She's a very kind person. And I knew that she was a very giving, loving person. One night when my husband had taken the car to go to work, and he had not come home. He was much, much later than what he normally had come home. And at that time, we were using a phone that wasn't a lot, that when you would try to call it, like a lot of times the call wouldn't go through because we were using it on it was a Verizon phone that we were using on a T-Mobile network. And a lot of times if we try to call each other, the call wouldn't go through. So I couldn't get a hold of him. Well, anyway, I was freaking out. I was panicking, and she was home, and I went to her room and I said, my husband hasn't come home and I'm really worried. I don't know where he is. And she immediately got up and said, okay, let's go find him. Didn't even hesitate. And at that time, we didn't even really have that close of a relationship, and she immediately jumped up to help me without a second thought. She's the one that keeps the backyard clean as far as all the dog poop and everything. Of course, 3 of the dogs are hers, but she's not, she doesn't have to be completely responsible for that, but she does, because there's been a lot of times when I've done her dishes for her. I'll fold her laundry if she keeps it in the dryer, and I need to use the dryer. I'll take out her laundry, I'll fold it for her. And she shows her appreciation, by keeping the backyard clean. So we kind of have that type of relationship. If I've done something for you to go out of my way, then she'll do something for me to go out of her way without us even having to ask each other. And it's just like a connection and the nature of the relationship that we have. And he hates that, but again, it's just, for me, it's just, every conflict and challenging situation in life really is just something to learn from. He is a very just miserable, depressed person, and he lives in a horrible reality. His life is his own personal hell. And when we have people like that in our life, whether it's a roommate or family member or coworker, we cannot allow them to suck us into their own personal hell. Even if they are attacking us directly in some way, we just can't let them do it. We have to continue, to just work towards what we're trying to do, to move forward in our own lives, and to develop our own, well-being, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. We just have to focus on that, instead of allowing somebody, that is full of hatred and bitterness, to drag us, into their world of hatred. We can't allow them to do that. And that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do. Because I'll be honest with you, it's hard for me not to focus on all the things that I would like to do to him. All the physical pain I'd love to inflict. It's not easy. I had a lot of thoughts about that. And my husband wanted to rip him apart. My husband wanted to mutilate him when he found out what he had done. And he could, because my roommate, he's very weak. He's very weak. Like physically, he's just a weak, very weak guy. My husband's very strong. And my roommate is intimidated by my husband as well. And again, he hates my husband because my husband represents everything that he is not and everything that he wishes he was. But, again, we're not going to do that. That's not how we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it by just, again, when we're in his presence, just, we don't have to communicate with him. We don't have to say anything. If he tries to start shit with us again, I'm just going to immediately go to my landlord and say, hey, he can't let this go, or he's trying to start shit again, and let my landlord deal with it, because he promised me that if we start having issues like this with him again, my landlord promised me that he was going to handle it. And I believe him. I do believe my landlord when he says that, and so hopefully he'll be out of here by the summer, by whatever means, I don't know, but hopefully it'll happen just because I want it to happen, and whatever powers that be will make that happen, that things will just naturally fall into place so that he's gone and that he's out of here. But Anyway, part of me doing this video was, number one, I wanted to vent. And number two, I wanted to get your insight. Like, have you ever lived with an alcoholic? Are you close to someone that has a drug addiction or any type of addiction that you have to deal with? Do you know have you been in situations or know of situations of um, parent, child relationships that you knew just weren't right? That you knew something was wrong? Like what did you do, or how did you respond? Or what do you think about the situation I'm in? Like, what are your thoughts? I'm just really curious, what your guys' thoughts might be. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I guess it's kind of I don't know, I guess like a story time, I guess, of my own personal drama, my own personal life. So I hope everyone's staying safe, protecting yourselves. We're still in a time of crisis and pandemic, so it's still very important to practice social distancing and, take care of yourself physically, and make sure that you're eating healthy and exercising to give your body a fighting chance, should you come into contact with this virus, and try to, just stay inside as much as possible. And it looks like things are going to start, going back to normal, soon. I know that MGM properties are accepting reservations starting April 17th. I guess they're going to be open, and operating again, which is fantastic. Vegas is definitely a city that has been hit hardest than a lot of other cities, because Vegas, the whole city, runs on entertainment and, clubs and the casinos and bars and like everything that has to do with social gathering and lots of people being together in a small space. Vegas, that's Vegas. And there's so many people that work in the casinos, waitresses, bartenders, that are out of work right now. And it's definitely financially a very devastating time, for the city of Las Vegas. So I think when everything opens up again, it's going to be crazy, because everyone's going to be running to Vegas, to do their vacation they couldn't do, that for the month of March or whatever. And they're just going to want to come here and party and have fun, or go out. The locals are going to want to go out and party and have fun. So it's probably going to be, when things start to loosen up and we feel the freedom to go out again, it's probably going to be really crazy. But hopefully, a great opportunity for me to make a lot of money, driving for Lyft. So, all right, guys, remember, take care of yourself, protect yourself physically and emotionally, and don't forget, your health is your most valuable asset. Invest in it. Bye-bye.